Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today, we are taking a tour of my SUV garage in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, this garage is almost the same as the last time that I did an SUV garage tour. However, we do have about 2 new acquisitions into the garage. So I figured I'd do a tour since I've been doing tours recently, because I figured some of you guys might want to see this. So anyway, we're going to head inside the garage and get started with the first car. Now, the first car that we're going to go over is the Enos Huntley S. Now, this thing goes for $195,000. It's got some pretty good customization. It was added with the High Life update in Grand Theft Auto Online, which is one of my favorite updates ever. I distinctly remember buying shark cards for that update when I was probably about 15. It was a great update. I really enjoyed it. The Huntley was a part of it. It's a really, really fast SUV. This thing is still within the top 10 fastest SUVs in the entire game, which is pretty crazy considering that this thing was added in probably 2014 or 2015, something like that. So the Huntley, I mean, it's a great SUV. It's pretty good looking. I mean, a lot of people think this thing's ugly, and I mean, definitely from some angles I can kind of see that and maybe agree a little bit, but for the most part I do think it is a pretty good looking car. Anyway guys, on to the next vehicle, which is of course the Porsche Astron. This thing was added with the contract DLC, and it is of course based off of a Porsche Macan GTS or maybe a Porsche Cayenne Turbo. I'm not really 100% sure. It could be either of those cars. I do like this car a lot. However, there is something about this car that I'm not super fond of, and that is the back section of the vehicle. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's too much of an angle with the back like tailgate lid there. I feel like the roof should stick out a little further back, just because I don't know, it looks really strange. Like it's somewhere in between SUV, like hatchback, and sedan, and I'm just not like a super fan of it. The car has great customization though, and it's really fast. I think this is the 3rd fastest SUV in the game currently. Actually, no, it's not, because there's an HSW version of this thing, so it's the 4th fastest, I do believe. Anyway, on to the next car. We of course have the Pagani Toros. Now this is the fastest SUV in the game on old gen, and I believe the 2nd fastest SUV in the game on the expanded and enhanced edition, because of, like I said, the Porsche Astron HSW. The Toros is a really, really good car. As far as bang for your buck goes, it's $498,000, and you get the 2nd fastest SUV in the game. It's got tons of customization. It looks great. It's based off of a Lamborghini Urus in real life, which is a pretty neat SUV. Overall, the Pagani Toro is definitely one that I can't recommend enough. I mean, it's for 500k. You literally cannot go wrong with this thing. It's got so much customization as well, so it's just a super fun car. On to the next vehicle, and that is of course the Gallivanter Baller LE. So this was added with, I believe, the Ill-Gotten Gains update. I could be wrong. It could have been something else, but it was added in the same update that the Shafter V12 came out in, and I do believe that that was Ill-Gotten Gains. I could be wrong. The Baller LE is a pretty neat car, obviously being based off of a Range Rover in real life, which is, you know, they're pretty nice SUVs, I gotta say. Now the Baller LE was the first Gallivanter Baller into the game that had any sort of carbon accenting on it. As you guys can see, the whole roof support structure there is carbon fiber. The pinstripe that goes along the side of the vehicle is carbon fiber. The rear diffuser and the grille is also carbon fiber. On mine, I have these chrome rims on it. I think these are the Chromatic Z. They're a really nice rim. I think they look really good on this car. Got the white interior on this thing. Unfortunately, this Gallivanter doesn't have like any customization you can do to it, really. The only difference between this and the ones you can steal off of the street is of course all the carbon accenting and the interior color option as well. So still a cool car. It goes for about 180,000, somewhere around there. So it's relatively cheap. It's pretty good for the money. Not the best car ever, not the worst either. Now on to the last car on this side of the garage. This is of course the Enos Jubilee, which was added with the contract DLC. Definitely one of my favorite looking SUVs in the entire game. I've got mine in a Cabernet Red with the concave mega mesh. You will notice that is kind of a theme with some of my vehicles here. I do like the concave mega mesh. It's my favorite rim, so I put it on a lot of cars. Now the Jubilee has pretty decent customization, definitely not as much as some of the other vehicles in here like the Toros, but it's got, you know, a decent amount for sure. The Jubilee looks really, really close to the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, in which it is based off in real life. However, the only problem with this vehicle is, of course, the interior is completely awful. It looks like it's out of like a 2001 Honda Civic. Not exactly what you would expect from an SUV that costs like $1.7 million and is based off of one of the most luxurious car brands on earth. So kind of disappointing. The interior is like probably the biggest letdown with this vehicle. I wish that Rockstar could have just put in like a good interior into the vehicle. Would have been super cool, but I guess not. Anyway, that's it for the first half of the garage. On to the second half of the garage, we have the Benefactor Dubsta 2 starting off. I've done garage tours in the past, and I've also talked about the Dubsta 2 in the past, and people have accused me that this is not actually a Dubsta 2. Well, if you look at the badging on it and you know what a Dubsta 2 is, you can probably tell that this is a Dubsta 2 without me having to say too much about a Dubsta 2. The Dubsta 2 is the rare version of the Dubsta 1. I actually have 2 guides on how to get this thing, and I also have a video, actually 2 videos, on the differences between the Dubsta 1 and the Dubsta 2. So if you guys are interested, definitely go and check those out. It's a really cool car. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the greatest performance ever. It is still a vehicle you can steal off the street, so it's not exactly going to be the greatest thing ever, but it is still really cool in my opinion. Definitely a cool car to have. Up next, we of course have the declassy Granger 3600 LX from the Contract DLC. You can probably notice a bit of a theme with the wheels here. We got the Fister and the Enos and the Dubsta, and this with all concave mag. Anyway, the Granger 3600 LX. This thing is actually slower than the regular Granger, which is not very great. However, this thing does have Imani tech capabilities and way more customization than the regular Granger has. I don't think the Granger has any, so even if this thing had like one customization option, it's still way more, and it's got way more than one. You can put the bull bar on the roof rack, light bar. You can put this armor upgrade on the side of it, so this thing can take some damage. I think it can take about 6 RPGs before it blows up, which is pretty good. Obviously, you can seat 4 players. I'm not 100% sure if you can actually have players on the outside of this thing like you could with the old Granger. So that is something that I'm honestly not familiar with. Obviously, though, the best feature about this vehicle is it has Imani tech, which allows you to put a missile lock-on jammer or a remote control device on this thing so you can control it remotely. Obviously, that's what that means. The 3600 is definitely the best bang for your buck. As far as getting an Imani tech vehicle goes, this thing goes for about $1 million once you have the trade price, which is a pretty fair price, and I think it's like 1.3 million without the trade price. So you really can't go wrong with buying this thing. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that fast, but it is still a really good vehicle. Next up, we have the Bravado Gressley. Now, this is a car you can steal off the street, and it's actually one of my favorite SUVs in the entire game, hence it being in this garage still. It's actually got some customization you can do to it as well, which is pretty nice. It has side skirts, it has a rear bumper option, it has a front bumper option, hood option. It's really, really cool. You can definitely make it unique, and I've been praying for such a long time that they will add a Bravado Gressley Hellfire into the game, or a Bravado Gressley STX. I would like to see either of those vehicles get added. This thing's fantastic. Definitely give this thing a shot if you never have before. I can't go on about it enough. It's just a fantastic vehicle. That's pretty much all I got to say. Next up, we have the Gallivanter Baller ST. Now, this is the first Gallivanter Baller that's been added into the game that actually has some customization features, and albeit those customization features are fantastic. It has bumper options, hood, roof, mirror, side skirt, rear bumper, exhaust options. It's got a lot of stuff. Again, concave mega mesh on this thing. Fantastic looking SUV. I think that this is my favorite Gallivanter Baller they've ever added. I mean, actually, I don't think it is. It is the best Gallivanter Baller they've ever added. It's got the best performance out of any Gallivanter Baller in the game. I think this is probably the 6th fastest SUV in the game now, taking into consideration the HSW Fister Astron Custom. The Gallivanter Baller ST is definitely one you really cannot go wrong with. It goes for about $800,000 as well, so it's like relatively cheap. It looks fantastic. If you like Range Rovers, the Gallivanter Baller ST is definitely a must-own for you. That is it for the Gallivanter Baller ST. Let's move on to the last vehicle in the garage, and you guys probably know what it is. Of course, it's the greatest vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. This is, of course, the Canis Seminole. It is the fastest land vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. It's also the fastest sea and air vehicle in GTA Online. It's the only vehicle you can enter every single category of race in the entire game with. You can go into street races, air races, land races. You can go into boat races with this thing. Pretty much anything you can think of, this vehicle can do. It's also submersible. It's a flying vehicle as well, of course. On top of that, it's a 4-seater, and it is the most armored vehicle in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. This thing can take over 5,000 RPGs, which is absolutely insane. And the best part about the Canis Seminole is, of course, it is only $30,000. For that price, you absolutely cannot beat this thing. It's the greatest car ever. You guys should definitely pick one of these things up if you don't have one already. Please remember though, do not steal one off of the street, as that is treasonous. You have to buy one off of Southern San Andreas Super Autos for $30,000. Anyway guys, that has been my SUV garage tour in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know what you thought of my garage in the comments down below. Let me know what cars you would add or what cars you would take away. There is one car that's off limits for taking away, and it's right in the frame right now. So don't even say that. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.